Hello ladies, do you feel like you're living in constant frustration, or you're living in fear of whether you're making the right choices and decisions in life all the time? Do you know what your emotional vocabulary is? In this week's video, that's what I'm going to be talking about. So stick with me, and I've got some tips on working through emotions. Sorry about the cat there. Working through emotions and all of the things, more inward looking when it comes to self-care, perimenopause, and all of the things. Okay, so welcome back to week 3, which is identity and emotional clarity. This week we're going to be talking about emotional vocabulary, life timeline mapping, and future self visualization. This is what I have on my prepared workbook. Now, ladies, today filming this and looking through and working through some of the bits on this workbook has been really useful. I think it's really what I've needed, because I have feelings crept in of lots of self-doubt. I can feel my mood is like fluctuating still, but going towards the low mood, motivation. It's the school holidays. Obviously, if you've watched any previous videos of mine, you know that I am an undergrad student, so money is tight and it's very, very stressful juggling kids, home, work, all of the things. And also, I feel like, well, I don't feel like I know that I'm supposed to be on my period this week, and I haven't had one, but I have had all the symptoms. So I've been feeling clumsy, I've been feeling quite tearful, all of the symptoms that you get sort of on the lead up or whilst you're on your period, I have, but I haven't had a bleed. So clearly my body is unable to find an egg to release this month, and maybe that's what's taken its toll on my body. But body pain and all the other emotional feelings have really crept in the last 10 days or so. So identity and emotional clarity, which this is my workbook I've been working on. It's like a 30-day inner compass. And I have some tips for you this week around some journaling, really, some journaling work. So emotional vocabulary. So on here I've put on here, name 3 to 5 reoccurring emotions and then reflect on their messages. So how are you feeling emotionally? Think of however many, write them down. Are they negative emotions? Are they positive emotions? Which is great. We want those. Where, when, and what part of the day do you feel them most intensely? So I have 3 here. So I've got frustration, I've got fear, and I've got defeated. So they're all, not all of them are necessarily negative, but I would put them in the negative category. I think fear is good motivationally, and it usually tells you if you're feeling slightly uncomfortable or fearful that you're doing something new. So you're learning, which I absolutely am learning through this perimenopause transition. So yes, I feel frustrated. I feel frustrated because I've made a huge life decision around going to uni, but it's not easy financially. always doubting whether I've made the right decision. Maybe I should have done it part-time, which would have took me longer. Would I have stuck with it if it was part-time, because I'd have my full-time job that I'd be committed to as well. Then the fear is that have I made the right decision? Am I doing the right thing? I don't know what the future looks like. I know what I would like it to look like, but I'm fearful about that. And then defeated. I've put here, sometimes it feels like everything feels hard. Being a mum, being my own person, paying the bills, keeping the house clean and tidy, just the basic stuff. Sometimes it just feels like it's a lot. So I would say, because I know I'm within my menstrual cycle, my period, that is having an impact on how I'm feeling, as well as generally being in perimenopause. So my estrogen's going up and down. So although these are negative emotions, I know that hopefully in the next few days, the next week or so, I should start feeling a bit better. It's a really good exercise actually, because it goes on to ask, what the impact of the emotions are having on your day. So obviously if you're feeling frustrated all the time, that can have an impact on the people around you and the people that you live with. Make you feel demotivated. I've put here, my cats have a box, an empty box. Oh, can you see the cat in the box? So you're on like a little mini tripod. If you hear scratching, bumping and jumping, that is Blossom in her box. Okay, back to the exercise. So I've then gone on to write down how you can manage potential triggers and stress factors. Sometimes just writing things down, getting things off your chest, helps you become more self-aware, reduces the anxiety, gives you a bit of clarity. So I could feel myself spiraling about the way I was feeling emotionally, but because I track my period and I knew that it was that kind of time, the impact of my emotions, that would heighten them. So how can I be more compassionate towards myself or process the emotions that I'm feeling? And I've put here to stay focused on my end goal. Don't forget what I'm aiming for. My degree in psychology counselling, brand new career. I need to be more compassionate. So have empathy and understanding, look after myself, do the things that I know will help me feel better. And I've put here, find a balance with work and purpose. We're all trying to find a balance, and sometimes it's just difficult to do that, isn't it? When you've got lots of priorities. So that is the first exercise. Now I'm going to go on to the second exercise, which is a lifetime map. Now what I might do is either pop above screen recording of these worksheets, or I might just pop them on like a slide. Either way, I will pop that in so that you can see it better, rather than just looking at my scribbly pages. But this is basically what the life timeline looks like. And the idea of it is that you record key turning points or any kind of identity shifts that you've had throughout your life so far. Some people, I believe, who do this in therapy can go right back to the beginning, from like when you were born or from your childhood. However, because this is like a perimenopause edition, I have decided to go just back to when my children were born. So I've put, for example, I don't know if you can see that, but September 2003 my first daughter was born, and then I've put June 2013 my second daughter was born. Now the reason that I've started with those and they're significant to me is because I am a single parent. So when my first child was born, I'd started my career working in financial services, and I solo parented. So that's big, being a mum on your own, working hard, all of the things. And then 10 years later, I had my second daughter, where I started my second stint of single parenting. However, this time I do co-parent with my second daughter's dad. So he is very much in her life and we do co-parent, share the parenting. However, I still live with my two children by myself. Okay, the next significant step or key turning point was COVID. So when COVID hit and we all started working from home, I was so thankful that I was able to work from home. I didn't lose my job. I was able to keep working. They were very flexible around the children being off school and what hours we could work for a period of time. But it was then that I started getting my perimenopause symptoms, so changes in my period, very heavy, painful periods, and migraines, constant migraines. So that's why I've noted this on here. But also, it was the first time that I actually stopped and considered whether this is the way I wanted my life to be going in terms of career and what I was going to do next. So the idea of a life timeline map is that you map it all out, and it helps you to reflect back on what you've been through, the things you've accomplished, the impact that significant events may have had on your life. You know, you could have had an injury, or, I mean, I haven't put on here about my dad passing away, because that kind of started my journey of questioning, we're not here forever, am I doing the right thing? So I could have put that on there to be honest. That's the idea of it. And as I say, gone all the way up to changing my job, working in education for a year, then leaving that job and starting my university degree last year, up to where I am now, where I'm questioning every single thing I have done so far. But I am sure, and I keep reassuring myself, that it's very normal to be questioning the things, because it's all new, it's uncomfortable, it's the unknown. And the impact of perimenopause on my body, both emotionally and physically, is not helping. Okay, so the third thing and the last thing that I'm going to talk about in the video today is future self visualization. So I've done it as a journal, and it's all about your future self. And I do feel like I really needed to do this. I did this today. I needed to refocus on what my end goal is, where I'm trying to get, why I'm trying to get there. How do you currently feel in your body and your mind? So I've put, I feel unsettled, uncomfortable, and in self-doubt. And in my body, I can feel the fluctuations in my hormones, up and down, like a roller coaster. And along with brain fog and body pain, I am being constantly reminded that my body is going through this. 1 to 2 challenges you face regularly during perimenopause. So I've just said them. So brain fog and the anxiety in every decision that I'm making, I'm constantly questioning myself. So the final part of it is to imagine yourself in 3 to 5 years. What does your ideal day look like? Now, I think this could just be imagine yourself in 1 year from now, because sometimes 3 to 5 years, I just think so much can happen in 1 year, let alone 3 to 5. And actually, it's less anxiety for me to consider what life will look like next year. But my ideal day, I have said, is working with women in one-to-one situations, supporting them through life transitions, the same as I am, and empowering them to be their best self. And I wrote it and I read it and I thought, yes, this is what I want too. This is why I'm doing it, so that I can say to people, we can do this, we can make big changes, make big decisions, we can change our career, and it can be doable and we can really get there. So that has helped me. And then the next part says, how do you feel emotionally and physically in this future version of yourself? So I have put clear, strong, and more financially stable. That's really important for me because the struggle is real. Okay, so what wisdom does your future self want to share with you today? So I've pretty much just said it, but I'll read out what I've written. So I've put, all the hard work and tears and questioning will be worth it if you stick with your dreams, your goals, and your aspirations. So sometimes these things are like, I'm so good at getting other people to think about themselves in that way, in a positive way. And it's really good actually to be able to write it down, like ask yourself that question and write it down. And then inspired action is, so what is one small step that you can take this week to become more like your future self? And I have put stay consistent, stay focused on your end goal, which is what I've said before. So that is week 3. So I hope that the 3 things, or the 3 exercises that I have done, you will find useful too. And please let me know in the comments if this has been useful. Also drop in the comments any sort of tips or tools that you use yourself to get through days where you think, what the hell am I doing? What is going on? Is there anything you do? Do you talk to somebody? Do you journal? Have you got a YouTube channel? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next week for week 4, which is the final exercises in this workbook that I've been developing. So I'm looking forward to sharing them with you. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.